Sadlier, Level D, Unit 8A. Our first word for this unit is asylum, which is a noun. It is a place or a thing. It is that type of noun. And it means an institution for the care of elderly or children, or a place of safety. Your synonyms are sanatorium and sanctuary. There are no antonyms, and your only other form is the plural noun form. Now, the sentence I've written is using the place of safety definition. So the basement of the rec center was the best place to seek asylum to remain safe during the tornado. You might also hear the use of an asylum as in the actual building itself as the name of it. But you can also just call anything where you're going to seek shelter or safety an asylum. People can seek asylum in another country, or at someone's home, or in this case, the basement of the rec center. Our next word is both a verb and a noun, and it follows the pronunciation rule of a word that can be either a verb or a noun. So as a verb form, the action, meaning to comfort, you would pronounce it as console. So you put that emphasis on the second half of the word. That's where your syllable emphasis comes in, console. So you can console a person, you can comfort a person. The noun form, which is either the keyboard of an organ or a control panel for an electrical or mechanical device, you're going to put the emphasis on the first half of the word and you're going to pronounce it console. So you have console or you have console, and depending on how you say it, that's which version of the word you're using. And that's a standard rule in English when it comes to words that are verbs and nouns. Your synonyms and antonyms are only for the verb form. So your synonyms of comfort are solace and alleviate. Alleviate meaning to kind of take away whatever is causing the problem or to fix it. You can take medication to alleviate a headache. Your antonyms are distress, bother, vex, and torment. And we have several other forms of the word. Our plural noun form, consoles, again, put that emphasis on the first half of the word. And then you've got other verb forms, consoled, consoling, and consoles. You have a noun form if you're a person who is doing the comforting, you could be the consoler. And then the adverb form, consolingly. So maybe a person says something consolingly because they're trying to comfort you. Our little picture there is a ghost hug. He's trying to console you. And my sentence is for the verb form because, again, that is a really, really common usage. After I lost my favorite copy of Shakespeare's Macbeth, Mrs. Worrell had to console me because I was crying so much, and they wanted me to feel better. You might write a sentence using the verb form of console, and you can have really great context by setting up something that happened to you where you would need people to, give you a hug or wish you well or say that they hope you feel better. And they could be consoling you, and you could write a sentence about that. We move to our next word, which is dwindle. And dwindle is a verb that means to lessen or diminish. Excuse me. So numbers can dwindle over time. Your synonyms are decrease, shrink, fade, or peter out. Peter out meaning it slowly goes away over time. Your antonyms, are increase, enlarge, swell, or proliferate. That's a former vocab word from Sadlier Level D you might recognize. Your only other forms are just other verb forms of the word. So dwindled, dwindling, and dwindles. So my sentence, students who do not complete their assigned homework for each night will see their grade continue to dwindle over the next few weeks. Get your work done. So you'll see your grade continue to lessen, diminish, get lower as we go. A supply of something could dwindle over time. I have mints in my classroom. When I give them out, the amount that I have dwindles. So you might think of a sentence where something is getting lower and lower as it goes. This is one of my favorite words for this unit. The word is flippant, and it's an adjective. So you would use it to describe a noun of some kind. And it means lacking in seriousness, disrespectful, or saucy. Saucy meaning flippant, not saucy like food. Your synonyms are frivolous, impudent, impertinent, and insolent. All of these words that suggest someone's being kind of rude and a little bit maybe jokey, but in a slightly inappropriate way. Your antonyms are serious, respectful, deferential, and obsequious, all very, very fun words. The adverb form, which is also really common, is flippantly. A lot of times you'll say the way I've used it in my sentence, somebody says something flippantly, but a person can just be very flippant. In my picture, you have somebody who is poking a stick figure that may be dead and saying RIP, which is kind of flippant. That's very much lacking in seriousness and somewhat disrespectful. My sentence, when I asked the student who had helped her cheat on the math test, she said, Joe. We know where we're going with this. When I asked which Joe, she flippantly, adverb form, replied, Joe Mama. I don't know who that is, but apparently he helped her cheat on her test. But that is a very flippant response. It's not very serious. It's somewhat disrespectful. It's a little bit impertinent. It's got a little sass to it. So you might think of a situation where someone might say something to you or you say something to them flippantly. Or maybe you know a person who is quite flippant, and you could write a sentence saying so-and-so is very flippant because, and then you give me context for what would make that word fit as a describer in that situation. Then we move into liability. Liability is a noun, and it means a debt or something disadvantageous. Your synonyms are difficult and impediment. So those synonyms might help you understand that second part of the definition as something being disadvantageous. It's not an advantage to have a liability hanging over you. Your antonyms are advantage or asset. You've got your plural noun form liabilities. Notice we have the IES plural ending. And then liable is an adjective. Somebody could be liable for something, meaning that they are the one that has to give or do whatever the case. In that picture, we have somebody who is holding a lot of debt. Having a lot of debt is often considered a liability. The debt itself is a liability. And in our sentence, during our group presentation, Tucker's stage fright was a major liability because he forgets what to say when he gets nervous, and we were worried about our final grades. So if you have a group and one of the people in your group gets really nervous and can't really talk in front of people, that is a liability because you're working on a group presentation. So you might think of a situation where something about you or something about another person is somewhat disadvantageous, something that, makes it not an advantage, something that makes things a little more difficult for you in the long run. And then we get to my other favorite word from this unit, pugnacious, which is an adjective that means quarrelsome or fond of fighting. Your synonyms are combative and belligerent. Your antonyms are peace-loving, friendly, amicable, and congenial. You've got your adverb form, pugnaciously. Someone could say or do something pugnaciously. You have your noun form, pugnaciousness. So if somebody is just fond of fighting and quarrelsome, they could be full of pugnaciousness. And then pugnacity, not as common, but a fun one just the same. So for our sentence, I am describing a noun in my sentence as pugnacious and then giving context for why they are pugnacious, giving hints to how we know the meaning of this word. So the shoppers became increasingly pugnacious when the security guard tried to stop them to search the bags they were taking out of the store, and they eventually got into a screaming match with him over it. You might do a sentence where you say, this particular person is pugnacious because, and then that because section of your sentence is the context I need for the word to let me know what pugnacious means. You can give hints by describing what a person does if you're describing them as pugnacious. Then we have the word realm, which is a noun, and it can mean a kingdom. That's the definition some of you might be familiar with. Or it can mean a region or field of study. So sometimes you can say, oh, we're going to be discussing topics in the realm of movies made in the last 10 years, or everyone's favorite books. Your synonyms are domain and jurisdiction. There are no antonyms, and your only other form is the plural noun form realms. Now, the picture is more the kingdom end of this definition. My sentence has to do with a field of study definition. So my time in graduate school was spent working in the realm of Shakespeare, but more specifically Shakespeare and film adaptations, because I am a giant nerd and I love Shakespeare movies. Then we get to rejuvenate. Rejuvenate is a verb that means to make young again or to make like new. So a person can be rejuvenated but objects can also be rejuvenated. Theories can be rejuvenated. Ideas can be rejuvenated. Your only synonym is to renew. Now, you're not going to use rejuvenate to simply mean renew, like you're not going to rejuvenate a subscription to something. That's a different form of renew. We mean renew to make like new. Her mindset was rejuvenated because it was renewed. She has these new ideas. Your antonyms are wear out, exhaust, enervate, and debilitate. Your other forms are your other verb forms: rejuvenated, rejuvenating, and rejuvenates. And then the person or thing who is doing the rejuvenating is the noun form rejuvenator. So in our picture, you can see that hardwood has been rejuvenated. It's made like new. And then the sentence, I was so cold, sore, and tired after shoveling snow that my warm shower rejuvenated me and energized me for the rest of the day. Going to a spa can rejuvenate a person, getting a facial or a massage. But also sometimes people are rejuvenated by things that are very personal to them. Maybe taking a nap makes you feel rejuvenated. Our next word is sterling, which is an adjective, and it means genuine or excellent. So you can say something is sterling, meaning it's awesome, but it can also literally mean made of silver of a standard fineness. You can have sterling jewelry. Sterling silver is a phrase you might have heard before. Your synonyms are first-rate, outstanding, worthy, and pure. Your antonyms are shoddy, vocab word, second-rate, and sham. Sterlingly is an adverb form, not super common. Same with the noun form sterlingness, but there is a noun form of sterling that is kind of common. Sterling, the noun, is a type of British money. So sometimes you hear people talk about sterling and they mean money if you're in England or the UK of some kind. And then I wrote a sentence dealing with the first part of the definition, meaning genuine or excellent. Some students have a sterling reputation and are known for being kind, polite, friendly, and diligent with their schoolwork. So talking about that being excellent, an excellent reputation. You'll sometimes hear the phrase sterling reputation. So for your sentence, you might write about someone having a sterling reputation and then give me really good context explaining how I know that that means it is a genuine and excellent reputation. And then finally, our last word, another verb noun word, pronunciation-wise, because it's only one syllable, it doesn't change. The word is warp. As the verb form, it means to twist out of shape. As a noun, it means an abnormality. We have synonyms for both the verb and noun form. We have bend, distort, and misshape, or irregularity. For our antonyms, we only have verb antonyms: straighten, unbend, and rectify. Our other forms, we've got our other verb forms: warped, warping, and warps. Warpage is a noun that could be the result of warping that has happened. You could say, look at that warpage. Or warper, the thing that is making things warped. You can see in our picture, we've got a photoshopped man where his door is warped, the picture is warped, you can see the swirls around his elbow. And our last sentence for this one, after the book was left out in the rain, the pages were warped, misshapen, and difficult to read.